It's showtime, folks.
But first, dad jokes.
My lady gives birth today. I run to her room right away. She smiles with glee, then hands her to me. I look at my newborn and say, damn, that's an ugly baby. Damn, that's an ugly ass baby. I'm feeling quite concerned. Might semen must be because damn, that's an ugly baby. Can't believe this came from me. Think her mom did too much LSD. She's skinny like a twig, at least her nuts are big. But the placenta is cuter than she is. Damn, that's an ugly baby. God damn, that's an ugly ass baby. I can't take her home today. She'll scare the dog away. 'Cause damn, that's an ugly baby. And when she smiles, I find Shane McGowan comes to mind. It makes me want to cry when I look into her good eye. I always wanted kids. Is it wrong to hope for SIDS? Fuck you, it's my fucking baby! Then the doctor calls me in. Mr. Lynch, she has a twin. Damn, that's a good-looking baby. 1 for 2 on the good-looking babies. I almost start to weep. Now this one we can keep. 'Cause that was an ugly ass. Damn, that's an ugly baby. Come on, everybody, sing along. Damn, that's an ugly baby.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Damn, that's an ugly baby. Woo! Damn, that's an ugly baby. She's got one good tooth and one ear and one eye, and thank God just one nose, but it's on her left thigh. Now, doctor, I'm asking you, guy to guy, would a really, really, really late term abortion still fly? Oh no, baby, not me. I don't want no ugly baby. I said, damn, that's an ugly baby. Damn, that's an ugly ass baby. Thank you. Good night.
Wake up, Daddy Son.
Yeah, I think we're starting off offending people pretty early here on the Dad's Home podcast. Welcome to it, everybody.
Go big or go home.
That is, hold on, that used to be the Chad. However, your nameplate says something a little different than what I'm used to, the Chad. You've got a brand new nickname for us?
I do. It's true. Yeah. I've earned a new nickname, ladies and gentlemen. It comes from a dear friend of mine, another softball father, who noticed that I am the fella that when we go out to lunch or a meal or whatever as a team, that I'm the guy that always cleans up people's leftovers. Or, what happened is we were at a tournament last weekend.
Yeah.
We're at a restaurant. His wife ordered a margarita.
Okay.
She took a couple sips. She's like, "Oh, I can't have this." I was like, "I'll take it."
Because
as
as a true friend,
right. I was having it as a friend, and
right.
So what I did was I enjoyed the margarita, and
for her, like, I'm sure you told her all about
her.
it,
right? Yeah, and he said, "Damn, dude, you eat everything." I was like, "Yeah, I'm like a vacuum cleaner." He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna call you Hoover."
Hence the new nickname Hoover. All right, I like it.
Like a vacuum cleaner.
So. I think that's cool. So does that mean like in addition to the margarita, also the side, what was left of the refried beans, that was all you down
French fries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sushi. I mean,
Really?
You name it.
Right. A lot of people like it would be easy. And that's what I'm saying. This is me. This is how stupid I am. It'd be easy to call you like dumpster, like that, something like that. It would be very simple to do. However, I think Hoover is a much more inventive way to go about it.
Well, and it goes to the fact that I suck, right? I mean, I suck at a lot of things. And so Hoover's vacuum cleaners suck. So
multiple.
It's levels. It's levels, folks. It's levels.
I got it. Yeah. Well, look, we're welcome back to, I had this whole thing set up, Chad. You're not going to believe this, or maybe you will. The on StreamYard, I had set up I sat here for 5 minutes before you even chimed in, setting up what our day was going to look like to put on this little scroll, and look, it deleted all of it and has us back to 212, episode number 212. So all this scrolling at the bottom, pay no attention to this stuff here. This is all
that happened already.
Yeah, that's already been done. That was a couple of episodes ago. So don't even pay attention to that anymore.
That is not precognition, folks. That is post-cognition.
That is, I don't know why, but that's what's happening for some reason. Now, I see, I'll start off while you take your sip of whatever you're going to explain to us in just a moment. I had margaritas already tonight. Speaking of Hoover margaritas. Had margaritas already. Well, it was one of those things like we wanted to have Mexican takeout. The girls wanted to stay home. So we're like, okay, cool. We'll order it. You guys will drop you off at home. Then mom and I will go pick it up, have a couple of margaritas at the bar, and then we'll bring the food home to you. So that was the deal. And now post dinner,
who's the Hoover now, Bauer?
Post dinner now, I'm enjoying a vodka tonic, simple vodka tonic for a Saturday.
Very nice.
And what are these? You were showing me cans earlier.
I got this right here.
Those are beautiful cans. You got some great cans there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what she said. What he said, I don't know. Whatever it is.
What is
so Ranch Rider Spirits is a company down here in Texas, and they make these canned mixed drinks. Basically, they're all kind of tequila themed. So there are some other ones that have other stuff, but I'm fond of the tequila ones. There's a margarita, like I showed you, and the ranch water, which folks, you make it for yourself, right? Which is easy to make,
right?
Water,
sure.
Lime juice, a little bit of Cointreau, tequila,
right?
They put it all in the can for you, right there. There's their list of ingredients, and they're delicious. So, Ranch Rider Spirits Company, if you're listening, we'd be happy to take some of your money and continue to advertise and tell everybody how awesome your products
or start whatever it might be for you. I don't know, but we would love to be involved in some of the advertising there, doing the drinks that we do every single episode for the Dad's Home podcast. It might fit right in line with your brand, I would imagine.
Yes.
We talk a lot about tequila. We've made our own ranch water here. Chad's constantly coming up with new ways to add tequila into something to drink. So it would be primo opportunity for us. Now,
and you'd be surprised how well tequila works in a water bottle of a softball player. But that's none of my business.
That's none of your business. No, you may have heard. I don't know that you've actually tested that theory out, but it's.
I did. It's, coincidentally enough, I did this weekend. My kid is hurt again. She's out for the season, basically, and so she's just cheering on the sidelines. And I'm like, what better way to get a kid to cheer than put a little tequila in her water bottle? She had no idea, and she was definitely the loudest kid in the dugout.
I would imagine. She also, by the time the tournament was over, was face down in the dugout.
She was taking a nap under the bench, and it was weird because the girls kept piling up water bottles on her. She had this little tower of water bottles. I mean, empty.
It's really just the precursor to college, anyway, right?
It is. That's really what I told her when she woke up with a really bad hangover. That's what happened,
right? You should get used to that. Now's the time to prepare yourself, honey. That's how it's supposed to.
She woke up and I was right over to the top of her. I said, "Welcome to college, bitch."
Look, I will say this coming up in a little bit here as we go to the tape, and it's a very visual friendly one. So you're going to want to watch this on YouTube. I would say there are other parents who have a very similar idea. And have
there's anything wrong with that,
and have on some level perhaps even begun training the predator a little early. We'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on here, the Dad's Home podcast. Plus, some parenting styles we're going to discuss here as well.
Yeah,
a couple of different elements we want to bring into play here. I will say this: I was at tournaments all day today, just like you were. You were doing softball tournaments. I'm doing softball tournaments. It's the end of the softball season, frankly. They're about to kick into fall ball.
It's a frenzy.
It's a frenzy right now. So
it's like you're throwing meat into the ocean and sharks are coming up. It's just like that.
Completely. It is a feeding frenzy right now. And so everybody's in it. And we left a game where one of my daughter's high school teammates was filling in for another. You see my daughter behind there. She's
not that one.
She's this one here has made the decision that she's sleeping with mom tonight.
Okay.
And so I get to sleep in the suites here. Say hi to Mr. Chad.
Hi, Mr. Chad.
There you go.
Hello, Lucky. How are you, kid?
There's my little one, Lucky. He says hello to you. He said, "Get to sleep. What are you doing up this late?" That's what he just said to you. I don't know if you heard it.
Seriously.
He said, "What do you do? Did you even brush your teeth?" He wants to know. Did you brush it? You did not brush your teeth already. All right.
Hey, only brush the ones you want to keep.
Just the ones you want to keep. That's all. Sass, nothing but sass. So thank you. Bye. Well, bye. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Chad.
Everybody's saying
Hi,
Chad. Hi.
There's the Charlie.
No, that was the Kim.
It was the Kim. All right.
It was the Kim. So we had a situation. Injuries also this time of year for softball are pretty crazy, right? Obviously, the game that my older daughter Charlie, her friend, was playing, and she was just subbing. She was filling in for a kid. They had so many injuries that by the end of the game, they only had 2 outfielders. Everybody else was injured.
Holy crap.
They had lost every.
Wow.
They had infielders, but every replacement player was in there. This individual was in catching because the catcher went out in the first inning with injury. Like they had so many injuries throughout the length of one game, just one game, that they ended up with their entire infield and only 2 outfielders to play the game. They still won. They had enough of a lead there, but that was an injury situation that they had to deal with tonight as well. Good times. And then they got to come back tomorrow on some level.
Yeah.
They're going to do tomorrow morning bright and early.
Early on in my kid's career, we were at a softball tournament, and my kid was she had walked like 8 kids, so they pulled her. And the other pitcher they put in, she injured herself sliding into home plate. So we're like, okay, we've got 0 pitchers basically.
Yeah.
Right. My kid who's throwing nothing but balls.
Right.
And so like this kid who just happens to be tall, they're like, you ever pitched before? She's like, nope. So like, but all right, let's go. Come on to the outfield. Let's try it.
Give it a shot.
So it's sort of like, a professional football team pointing up in the audience, pointing up at the stands going, hey, you look big. Come on down. You're playing linebacker.
You're fit into these pads. Let's get you going here. We got a spare jersey over here ready to go. And it's amazing too how many of these teams come prepared with spare jerseys ready to go. Like they've got not just the one that they've got for, the girl who's coming into sub this one particular weekend or this one particular day, but then they've got like a bag full of 4 or 5 or 6 other jersey numbers and jerseys of various sizes, just in case they need to have somebody grab that kid from 12. You bring him over here quick.
Yeah. As our team manager, designated team manager, my job was to wrangle those jerseys. So we have like 4 sets of those different sizes, and at some point, even my daughter's jerseys were like reconnoitered by the team to be used and to have players come in because she's injured, so obviously we need pitchers, and we had 2 kids that were out on vacation this weekend, so it's
and that's why none of those jerseys ever get retired, because they always have to pass them on to whoever's going to be filling in next. That's how it goes. Well, look, there's a number of articles out here talking about parent styles and parenting styles and people sharing the parenting trends that absolutely need to end now. And most of these I would have to 100% agree with. And then I start to try to self-reflect and figure out, wait, do I do that? Hang on, maybe I do that. I might do that. I think I actually do that with regularity. So a poll by YouGov found that younger Americans are more likely than their elders to have been raised by not very strict or not at all strict parents. 39% of under 30s say that their parents weren't very strict or not strict at all, compared to only 15% of over 65s. Nicola Krauss, the author of The Nanny Diaries, believes that it's a natural outgrowth of the fact that we know a lot more about children than we did in the past. We know a lot more about parenting than we did in the past, that children were treated like pets or worse back when you and I were growing up, Chad. Because there's oftentimes I feel like the cats in my house got treated better than I did, frankly.
That explains a lot about my growth as a child. How many times I've spent the night outside in the doghouse. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally out in the doghouse. Yeah.
That's if you were lucky. Oftentimes the dog would actually be in the doghouse and you had this next to it.
Yeah. The dog and I are fighting it out for the space. Yeah.
But what they're saying is that this change in parenting that's happened from when you and I were kids to where we are now as parents, that has encouraged other trends that many think are creating greater number of entitled young adults who can't fend for themselves. These days we have helicopter parents, bulldozer parents, and dependent parents whose over-involvement in their children's lives renders them incapable of fully becoming integrated adults. So on Reddit, there was one poster there who asked in the online forum, what parenting trend do you strongly disagree with? And an overwhelming number of responses from people who think today's parents are raising entitled children. So keep in mind, again, they're talking about you and I in this case, Chad, that you and I as parents are raising entitled children. So let's take a look at some of the popular responses to the parenting question, which is, once again, what parenting trend do you strongly disagree with? Let's go through the list. Number one, pretending that parenting is parenting, that not parenting is parenting. And here's a quote: I won't tell my child to stop kicking your leg repeatedly because I don't want to crush his spirit. That's the example they give you. I say, fuck you and your kid. Fuck you and your kid. If your kid is kicking a seat, kicking anything, and you're like, I just don't want to crush Tim's spirit. Fuck you. There's no spirit. Just stop it. You're annoying the shit out of everybody else. Let's start there, let alone injuries that could happen from it.
Oh my God. This parent, that just like makes me think of the kid who's in the like grocery store, right? Who's like walking down the aisle kind of by themselves, just pulling shit off the shelves.
Yes.
Well, it's a little bit like that kid that in Walgreens. I believe we have some tape on him.
Yeah. Let's see. We're talking about come on, where are you? Here. That kid. Right.
Yeah, that's the parenting is not parenting kid. Perfect example right there. The shut the fuck up kid. It's like, well, my kid didn't do anything. Yeah, right. Well, he's tearing apart my store. Get the fuck out.
Right. So I think this is even worse because I'll agree with you on that, and that part is messed up. I mean, and what we eventually saw from the case of that one was that the manager of the store is like, look, if you can't stop your kid from messing shit up on my shelves, I'm going to throw you guys out of here right now. Yeah. And the kid's response was, but I would also say if you can make the excuse that you're not going to stop your kid from pulling shit off the shelves because you don't want to crush his spirit, like somehow this isn't a parenting moment for you as a parent. This isn't an educational moment for your kid, between you and your kid, because you don't want to crush their spirit or anything like that. I fuck you both. Seriously. Yeah.
All right. What's number two? This is only going to get progressively worse.
Right. These are ones that we can start to check. I, by the way, do not do that. I have no problem parenting my kids for any of this kind of shit.
No, I beat the shit out of my kid. If like that.
Denying your kid any negative experiences or emotions. Well, look, Chad and I can say this firsthand. Just today alone, we're softball dads. We see negative experiences and emotions every single week.
Yeah. Yeah, try letting your kid play sports and letting them lose.
Right.
That's a negative experience. Give it to them. And that reminds me of that, like, participation trophy shit. I don't know if this is one of the parenting styles, but we gotta get rid of participation trophies. Like, fuck that shit.
Agreed.
Like, your kid needs negative experiences. They need to lose. They need to know what that feels like. Because you know what? When they get to become an adult, and they don't have that. Right. And then they are suddenly faced with that, like, oh, let's talk about going a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to get people need to feel negative stuff just so they know, hey, this is what it's like. Now, you don't have to throw them into the deep end and be like, oh, I'm gonna, I'm trying to think of something terrible.
I'm gonna throw you into the deep end and see if you can swim.
Like, see if you can swim. Right. Literally. Yeah, there you go. That's a negative experience. We're not doing that, but
I would also suggest this, that I think there are times that a participation trophy is just fine. Like, for instance, and I'll say this, my 8-year-old got elected to the all-star team for her baseball team, which I can't even think of the last time that I had a kid. Like, Charlie went right past that and there was never really an all-star anything for her. But my little one, the players on her team voted her to the All-Star team. And a part of that is you get the cool t-shirt. You're playing in the All-Star game. And they gave, like, the two teams had these little medallions that said that they were on the All-Star. I'm fine with that. That's a participation trophy for something.
No, that's not. That is the bullshit. That's a you're a badass trophy.
That's what I mean. That's like you got it for a reason. It wasn't just hey, you showed up, half the time to the games. And
you're not an all-star. Not everybody in the team is an all-star. Just a certain few, right? Yeah, that's And there is a tiny negative experience in that. Like all the kids that didn't get voted, negative experience is good for them. It's like, okay, cool. That's something to strive to. Hey, okay, now I want to aspire to that.
Now I know honestly, I can work over this next year to possibly achieve all-stardom next year.
And I am actively pursuing ways to give my oldest, who's a pitcher, negative experiences so that she becomes a better pitcher. Yeah. And I know that sounds a little bit like a joke, and it is and it isn't. If I can put her in a position where it's like, oh shit, I'm not the best pitcher on the team anymore. I'm not the best player on the team anymore. I'm not, that's a negative experience. She's like, all right, well, that's going to build her character. That's going to push her. Those are good things for people to have.
Absolutely. Another one. Fake gentle parenting. I'm not sure what this is. You hear and see so many parents letting their children do whatever they want, no matter how destructive, rude, or hurtful their behaviors are. Parents find themselves beholden to the whims of their children's emotions in the name of gentle parenting instead of true gentle parenting, where, so I hear, boundaries are set alongside validating emotions. So I guess the fake gentle parenting is not setting up the boundaries, just validating whatever it is that the kids are feeling at that time, no matter what kind of behavior follows it.
That feels a little bit like number one, like a little bit not like parenting.
Right. Yeah. And it kind of also.
It's like, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but.
Yeah. And that whole part of it, you're letting your kid kick somebody else, or let's just say in this particular case, whatever rude or hurtful their behaviors may be during this time frame. It's the same argument I feel like we kind of make when we're talking about people having the right to the Second Amendment, right? Your right to own guns and bear arms that's great, but not at the cost of my kid's life. And in this particular case, it's kind of the same thing. Like, okay, I get it. Your kid's pissed. You told them they couldn't have any more Skittles. They're fucking furious, right? They're wailing. They're throwing haymakers. They're kicking chairs. They're doing whatever. I get it. They have the right to experience that. You also have a right as a parent to set up boundaries for that, to make sure that that's not affecting everybody else in society. And I think that's kind of the element here where you draw the line thinking or trying to be, well, I'm going to try to be this gentle parent. But reality is you're also not setting up any kind of parameters that it's okay to have those feelings within these parameters.
Yeah, that's that boundary thing. I think if you're not setting those for kids, I mean, look, kids need that structure in their lives, period. And without it, and it left to their own devices, then it literally becomes Lord of the Flies. So,
yeah, and you're right, because you have to do that early. That's not something that you can't pick that up at age 10 and go, okay, maybe I should start setting boundaries.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wait. They're 10 now? Oh, now's the time I'm supposed to do that? Too late.
Maybe it's too late now. Because, look, the reality is that they need to know two things. The boundaries are set up for two different reasons. One, to know the rules, and two, to know the consequences when you don't do it. And that's the other part. I mean, that's where reality comes into play.
I fight that shit all the time with my kids. Like the whole, listen, this is the way life works. You have to go to school. It's sort of like you have a job. Mm-hmm. Mom and dad pay you with a place to sleep and some food and all that kind of stuff. As long as you go to school, you don't go to school, you don't get those things.
Right.
Now, at our house, that is definitely a moving goalpost, admittedly. In other houses, I have a buddy of mine who's like, he sets those kinds of boundaries and then he lives by that stuff. Mm-hmm. And his kids are so well behaved. It's fantastic. And really, you only have to fuck with them that one time where you're like, okay, no, you're going to go live on the street. Give them a pillow, set them on the corner, bye. And all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, they meant that stuff. And then you set that boundary, you set that expectation for the kid, like, hey, you need to listen. This is the way real life is, because those boundaries, that's what real life is. We all have those with work, life, driving, you name it, right?
And if you're not setting those up as a parent, you're failing as a parent for what your kids are going to have to experience down the road. I get you want to be their best friend. I get You really enjoy hanging out with them, and you want them to like you and you to like, and all of that's great. But at the same time, you can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do a little of both. You can have a little. In fact, I tend to believe myself, maybe you feel differently, but I tend to believe that if you set up those boundaries, your kids have more respect for you. They understand, especially if they see any of those things that come to fruition that you've been talking about, why you're setting up the boundaries in the first place. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. All right, I guess I understand that. Or maybe I was questioning it before, but wow, I'm sure glad mom and dad set up that boundary because now I know. That's where I feel you can do both. You can have both. And you don't even, like you said, sometimes it's a sliding scale. Sometimes the goalposts move. Sometimes you have to take it case by case to make your point. But if you're at least setting up those boundaries and they're aware of it, and they also know that you're setting up those boundaries, they're going to look to you for those boundaries down the road.
Absolutely. I think that covers number 4 on our list.
That's the
boundaries. Yeah.
Right.
Clear boundaries.
We just flew right past that one. Now,
that's right.
I have actually been called by my 15-year-old I've been called the helicopter parent.
Okay, that's different than this next one.
Yeah, so the bulldozer parent is a different one. And the bulldozer parent is a parent who removes all obstacles and challenges from a child's life so they don't learn about perseverance or problem solving or failure. Sometimes you can try hard and still not get the reward, or learning from mistakes. Unless the goal is to develop a highly anxious person, then being a bulldozer parent is great. Love the sarcasm there. But I think
that's my goal, to develop a highly anxious person.
Absolutely. It really, and if that's not your goal, surprise. This is, again, it goes back to, I think, that element of wanting to be the friend, right? Wanting to, I'm gonna be the one that takes the bumps for them. It's almost like what you and I would hear as a kid that was bullshit from our parents. This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you, right? Yeah. It's like taking that and then multiplying it and cranking it up to 11. And now you're trying to prevent them from having any sort of problem in their life that they might have to solve or figure out, because you want to be a great friend and be the person that makes sure there's no worry in their life.
It's funny because I think about my own parenting style, and there's definitely some certain things that you want to make sure, like, to protect your kid from, right? Like,
right.
I think about it like the internet makes it so possible for our kids to have access to all this information that they really don't need to have access to. Right. Pornography and violence and all this kind of stuff. And so in some respects, I see myself as the bulldozer parent where I'm like trying to protect them from those things. Right.
Sure.
And at the same time, though, there are, people abuse this idea, right? I think that they maybe start off with good intentions and it just gets out of control. They become a bulldozer. And for those parents, fuck you.
Right.
I've seen those kids. I've seen those kids on the softball field. I've seen those kids in school. I've seen those kids take advantage of other kids because that's just the way they roll. They don't want to actually do any work. They don't want to actually, do anything for themselves because somebody else is doing it for them. Talk about setting your kid up for failure. Fuck.
Totally. I mean, there's no way around that part of it. There's going to be a point, no matter how much bulldozing you've done, there's going to be a point where that kid is going to leave the house. There's going to be a point in time where that kid will get into the real world. Or
they are still in your house when they're 36.
56, maybe even. 56, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, it's true. So
it'll be one or the other there. But if they do actually make it out of your basement and make it into the real world, at some point, they're going to have to know there's shit that they're going to have to deal with. There's a problem they're going to have to solve, something that they're not going to be able to come back to you for. They're not going to be able to get an answer from, or you're not going to be able to solve it. They're going to have to solve it. You're just putting them in a bad situation down the road. So as smooth as you made it for them to get to that point, what happens when that is gone? Then what? Then what have you taught them? Not to problem solve. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Another thing you and I have seen time and time again, and it applies certainly here for people, dance mom, stage mom syndrome, whatever you want to call it, where the abusing of the talents of your child just to boost your own self-image in society. we've seen it from softball parents as well.
Right. Yeah. I would change this one and call it softball mom or softball dad,
Right.
or baseball mom, baseball dad, or any sport syndrome. Right. Because yeah, dude, I countless times I've seen this where parents are putting their kid out there, making them do sports for their own self-image. And they talk about their kid in that way. It's like, well, my kid's going to go D1. Right. It's like, oh, that makes you such a stud, dude. Yeah, enough said. Fuck
and
that.
You trying to live your athletic / stage life vicariously through your kids. It's one thing to be there to support them and to constantly be checking in with them to make sure that's what they want to do, and it's not just something you want them to do. Those are all parts of this. But again, that's them. You should be cheering them on for what they're doing, not because it makes you look good or because you feel good about it in front of other parents or whatever it is. Like, this is about them and where they're feeling, not having anything to do with you. Now, that said, you can be Chad and climb up the backstop after your kid hits a home run because you were thrilled from it. That makes absolute sense. You're celebrating with her. To be fair, Chad also was hoping that the girl in center field got injured from this all. That's a totally different story.
Just check the last episode, folks.
We'll just bypass that portion of it because he was more like 60-40, more interested in celebrating his daughter's home run and climbing the backstop and cursing very loudly at very loud volumes in support of her home run. That's different. That's supporting her. That's you're being there for what she's done. This isn't Chad going like, "You see what I did?
I made that. I made that. That's me. I'm gonna wear that. I'm gonna wear that badge. No. Fuck. No. It was the pure joy of celebrating her accomplishment, right? And I didn't swing the bat to make that happen. She did,
right?
And it for her it was fun. It was this pure joy. And you're right. There was definitely an element where I wanted to see that kid in center field after she tripped over the fence, injure herself because Schadenfreude. Who doesn't like to see a kid run into a fence and hurt themselves? I mean, that's what the internet is all about, right?
I don't know for sure, but I heard she was a cunt, so I don't care. Sorry, we try to be good sports. I joke, folks. The kid wasn't hurt. Number one, number two, I didn't really think that, but for comedy's sake, I did. That's what we were doing, all for comedy, just for laughs is what we were shooting for here. Other things like this, I've always found this to be an issue, and I think this is one thing Kim and I agreed on very easily early on with both our kids was like, nonstop supervision is not okay either. Like, you got to let kids be kids. You got to let kids have to figure out and deal. Like, even at the ages 3 or 4, like, sometimes, at least we had it when we were in Connecticut, and I believe they've got it in malls all over the place. They've got those little play areas that kids can go play in and crawl all over things. And you feel like, okay, there's probably a shit ton of COVID on those things these days. Prior to that, prior to that, it was a fun thing for kids to go and slide. And every kid, you get this, like, they'd come around like once every 45 minutes and kind of close it down for 15 minutes to spray clean everything. And then the kids could go back in and play again. And it was a fun situation. But more than half of the time that we would be there, it was about letting the kids interact with other kids, letting the kids figure out that they have to create, explore. They have to get the occasional bump. Occasionally a kid will push them out of the way because that kid doesn't know that there's a line and doesn't know that you're in line. And now you have to respond to that. But it's that literal interaction with the rest of society that starts to build there, that if there's nonstop supervision and you're trying to explain to them how that goes, there's a very good chance you can explain to them on the ride home, like, hey, I saw that happen. How did that make you feel? Rather than just getting right in there, like, hey, that's not okay, and you should be doing this. Like, let them kind of see how you're supposed to interact in society and what works and doesn't work on their own, not with your supervision.
Our goal as parents, I think, is to be the bumpers that come out in the bowling alley that let the ball go down the middle. Right? They need to find their path down the middle. We need to keep them from falling in the gutter, so to speak. Yeah. And this is one of those times where that supervision is like those bumpers basically just move in, closer and closer and closer together.
Yeah.
Where really the ball has no place to go other than right down the middle. And if you don't give those kids that chance to kind of bump around in that space in between the bumpers, they don't learn how to do that and be resilient later in life. And that's the supervision thing keeps coming up in these. That's the bulldozer thing. There's a piece of it here. I'm going to bet that when we get to the helicopter parent, we're going to talk about something like this.
Right.
But that you got to let kids be kids, man. Let them get dirty. Let them figure stuff out. When I was a kid, my parents were like, yeah, just be home before dark, because that's when the bears come out to eat children. Now, at the time, I lived in Colorado, and literally our house was like in the mountains. So there was some truth to what my parents were saying. Like, you never know what's going to come out of the forest and eat your kids. Better to have daylight to see your way through the forest as you're running away from the bear. So you don't, hit a tree, knock yourself out, and then become bear food.
Yes.
But the thing was literally just like, go play, go be out in the outdoors and go, figure it out. Like, I don't need you to follow me around the forest and tell me, oh, hey, guess what? There's a bear over there. No, let me figure it out.
And I would also say that kind of goes hand in hand with, too much structure. Like, just let them be and let them kind of figure it out. Like, you don't have to set every last little fucking thing up. You're at a play date. You guys are at the park. Let them do what they're going to do. Let there be some bumps and bruises. Let there be, I come crying to you. I asked this one kid if they wanted to play and they said no. That shit happens. It does. So, hey, how do you let's go see if we can find another kid to play with, or why don't you just play around on your own? How about I'll set you up with some awesome things that you have to do in a time frame. Like, you have to go run up the stairs to the slide, go down all 3 of those slides, but you have to walk up the stairs first to get there. And you got to do it all within 30 seconds. Like, whatever it is, have something else ready to go. Be a parent, but let them go through that stuff. Let them figure that stuff out. It's so important for them down the road, what they've got to figure out. And whatever happens could be like this most depressing, oh, they don't want to play with me. 10 minutes later, that kid's ready to play with your kid. Let those things happen. Let those be things that would happen to them on a regular basis.
Let the magic happen.
Yeah, we are running out of time. There's a lot of things that are kind of very similar that you play over and over again. But I will say one problem that I've had, and I don't know if you're going through this, certainly with the age that my girls are in right now, is way too much screen time. And I haven't figured out how to cut that down. And it does feed one into the other, where the older one, at 15, she's got her phone. She's got, she's on her phone all the time with the Snapchat and with the friends and the texting and TikTok and whatever she's looking at, wherever it may be. And the little one's like, you see that shit? I'm going to start doing that. Let me start doing that. So she's grabbing tablets and she's spending so much time. And I have not yet figured out how to quell that portion of things.
It's interesting. I run into that same problem in our household too. And it's different, right? Because I got the 15-year-old and like the 12-year-old. And so we're in that space sort of in between where your kids are. But that screen time thing is definitely an issue in our house too. And the only things that seem to work with that is putting them in situations where the screen is not a part of the experience. And it really truly is, the word experience is important. So what comes to mind is we took a trip to Colorado last summer, right? Mm-hmm. And we spent a lot of time outdoors, like fishing. Like, I taught my kids how to fish, like fly fish in a river. And that is time that it's an experience, right? Where the screen wasn't involved. They weren't there trying to take pictures and post it, right? It was like, no, I have a rod in my hand. I'm actively trying to catch a fish. That act of doing something that is not screen time is really for us anyways, that's what works out. And it could be anything, I mean, I have friends who are gearheads. I'm sure I had a friend who built a car with his son. And like, hey, let's go hang out in the garage for 4 or 5 hours on a weekend and work on this part of the car. So it really could be anything for parents to come up with, but experience, like, give them something to do that doesn't involve a screen. It doesn't mean that you have to take the screen away, but find things to distract them. Like, find that shiny coin that is an experience that keeps them occupied and it gives them that opportunity to not be in front of a screen the whole time. Yeah. Unless you're on a long road trip, then fuck yeah, give them the screen.
Whatever it takes to keep them occupied on the road. Yeah. For sure. 100%. Yeah. And look, I think a lot of this stuff, could be, while there's 21 different things in this particular article that they talk about, I think you could honestly put this into 3 or 4 things that really need to be taken a look at and adjusted here. And a lot of that has to do with, setting boundaries and then how you deal with that from there and the reasons why you set them up in the first place. So
balance everything in good measure too. Right. It's, find that place where, hey, a little bit of screen time, a little bit of supervision, a little bit of this, a little bit of freedom, and make your own recipe with those things.
Now, before you start thinking, hey, Hoover, Bauer, look, I get it. You guys are old. And back in the day and age when your parents used to do things for you way back.
Back when my parents walked both ways uphill in the snow to school.
Just because you guys had to deal with all that crap doesn't mean, well, look, before you start to go there's a bunch of 70s and 80s parenting styles that would absolutely get you in so much trouble today. We'll talk about that coming up here momentarily on the Dad's Home podcast.
This is a clearly not metrosexual moment in history.
Stephen Hawking, clearly not Metro Moments, wants to salute a man who didn't waste his days on collecting DVD box sets of Project Runway and Trading Spaces, or making sure his 5 o'clock shadow was perfectly coiffed. No, this real man has devoted his life to the study of cosmology and quantum gravity. That's right, this man has a profession that most of us can't pronounce, let alone understand. The man is Stephen Hawking, and despite hardly being able to move, his brain could kick your ass. He doesn't listen to John Mayer or James Blunt. While sad excuses for men are doing that, Steve is busy doing a little thing called providing theorems regarding singularities in the framework of general relativity. He even has a type of radiation named after him. That's badass. The only thing that carries my name is my underwear. Thank you, Mr. Hawking, for being a real man and for making advancements in cosmology, or whatever it is. This has been Lee Camp. For more funny crap, check out leecamp.net and sharkbaby.com.
An enormous gray slick threatens the California coastline. It's the Onion Radio News. I'm Doyle Redland. California Governor Gray Davis ordered 24 Northern California coastal communities evacuated today following the appearance of an enormous gray slick along the coastline near Monterey.
Knowledge at this time how this gray slick can be contained, but we are urging all residents to leave their homes and seek shelter inland.
The gray slick's rapidly spiraling mass, which now covers 35 acres of pristine ocean, has already destroyed San Francisco, a city which Slick herself helped build on rock and roll. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
You rock, Doyle.
You're a hurricane.
Welcome back to the Dad's Home podcast. Speaking of setting up boundaries as a parent for kids, coming up as we go to the tape a little bit later on, Chad, I'll give you a little tease. This is what it doesn't sound like.
That's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
Sure sounds like he's got a plan there, right? Sounds like he's on board with that. Does that voice sound familiar to you? I see your eyes. This again.
That's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
Well, we'll find out.
It sounds like one of the dads on my softball team. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It wasn't. No, we didn't record. I was going to say we just put it in the microphone. No, we'll talk about that coming up a little bit later on as we go to the tape and some of the wonderful footage we have to go over here as well. But first, I think it's important to recognize that stuff that Chad and I were brought up with, parenting styles of the 70s and 80s that might get us into trouble today, things that would be absolutely banned today are things that we should probably look at. Like, for instance, car seats. I don't remember ever sitting in a car seat at any point. Like, nope. I still, nope. I've got about 3 or 4 between booster seats, and I might even have an actual car seat sitting someplace in the garage. You can't like resell those things because it's illegal, right? You can't resell them because they don't.
Wait, you mean I shouldn't have done that? Damn it!
I like to donate.
Oh wait, did I just say that out loud? Fuck.
You're not supposed to resell them because by the time you're done with them and you're reselling, they're outdated and there's a whole new technology. It's like a car seat.
And there's embedded Cheerios and vomit and poop inside the
all of that. No matter how much you tried to wash it, forget it.
There's that too.
But that was never a thing. Like they had a seatbelt that you could strap across your waist, but nobody did.
No, we never did. No, my wife's family took family vacations and they put a piece of plywood across the back seat to the front seats.
Yeah,
and then like put blankets and pillows and shit on top of that, and then that was just like this big play area for the kids in the back seat. It's just like like a pig up like a pen for the kids in the back seat.
Yes, that's what it was. It was the playroom of the car, whatever kind of car.
That's what it was.
My dad had a 75 Pinto station wagon with the fake paneling on the side. And that's what that back area was. It was just a play area. There's no seatbelts. You could barely sit on anything that was half like a seat, but that my parents loaded me up and my brother up into that back every single time. Just like, anything could have happened. Rear-ending a vehicle could have happened. We could have been rear-ended. Didn't matter. Well, sliding around in that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, with that car, it might blow up too. So Pinto, I mean, that was
gotta be very cool.
Famously, you just like bump into the back of that thing and it would explode. So
yeah, it was a bomb waiting to happen, is what it was. Also, you pointed out earlier, just come in when the lights turn on, the street lights turn on. I can't tell you how much that was a part of my life growing up, and yet here I am. Almost virtually every place that I have moved to doesn't have street lights anymore. Like nobody has street lights anymore. To even say to my kid, hey, you go ahead and ride your skateboard, but be back when the streetlights come on, because there's no fucking streetlights anyplace.
Yeah. We don't have them in our neighborhood either. I mean, we have the light, everybody's got a light in their front yard, but there's not a street light. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's no streetlights for that anymore. But even that part, remember, like, I distinctly recall in the days that I was into my wannabe BMX bike growing up. And also, coincided with the times that Chips were on TV. So my buddy and I were Ponch and John as we were riding our BMX bikes around the neighborhood.
Yeah, of course you were. Which one were you?
I always wanted to be Ponch because he was the cooler one, but I was the white one. So
I was going to say, there's something about you that doesn't scream Hispanic. I don't know. No, I could be wrong about that.
No, you're 100% right on with that. I was the white guy, so I was John. John Baker, that was me.
Yeah,
but I'll say this: without any parents getting concerned, without any parents speaking up to like, "Hey, let me help you," or even possibly whatever it is you're building to ride your bike off of with that piece of plywood and a milk crate. Let me show you how to reinforce that. There was never any amount of safety. It was just like, Dad, we want to build a ramp. Cool. You know where the stuff in the garage. Just have that.
Good luck with that. Yeah.
Good luck.
And the good news is, actually, I've watched enough TikTok and Instagram to know that same mistake that we made in the 70s and 80s still made today. But the difference is now people are filming you while you do that and then putting it on Instagram and watching you smash your face into the concrete
or likes, just for likes.
Yeah, for likes. Yeah. So, that's how that's.
I don't want to say that's a precursory vision to what we're going to have coming up into the tape in just a little bit,
but it might be.
Seems like a lot of those seem to make
precognition, folks. That's the Hoover has precognition.
Yes, in addition to cleaning things up, he's got precognition. How about how we? At least I distinctly remember these elements. I never did when I was a kid. We'd go to like some of the theme parks. The parents always wanted to get you as close to the animals as possible. Zoos with fucking tigers and monkeys who could rip your arm out of the socket, killer whale
shit at you.
No, right?
That might have been one of the worst parent contenders. I'm not saying it wasn't or was, but
it could very well be.
Do you have a napkin?
We were constantly thrown virtually to death's door. Like there could have been any number of wrong turns, and all of a sudden, just fucking an orangutan has a bad day, and the next thing you know, your fucking kid is dead because you had to get it as close as you possibly could to go look at the orangutan, to go look at whatever deadly animal was on the other side of the plexiglass or the cage, and that was something that we dealt with all the time.
Yeah, but and today the difference comes back to now that shit's on social media. It
Correct.
used to be you never heard about that stuff, but it happened.
Yes.
Now we all hear about it, and of course are outraged
Yeah.
when it happens, and largely just because somebody filmed it.
Let me give you another couple of quick ones here. And by the way, our parents filmed it. It was just on 8mm without any sound, or you had it in a tiny little square pictures that you had to get developed, at the Walgreens or at wherever you were getting your film developed at.
Yeah, somewhere I have some slides of me doing that stupid
I forgot
shit.
the slides in the slideshow. Absolutely. We as kids, our parents didn't give a shit about us riding in the back of a truck.
Yes.
Period. That was not only was that acceptable behavior, but at some point, I want to say, I can't remember what year it was, and maybe you have a better idea on this, Chad, but there was a Subaru truck. I think it was a Subaru truck that had 2 seats in the bed of the truck that were these crazy seats. No seatbelts, by the way. No bueno on the seatbelts, but seats that had 2 little hand hold bars for either side. So you sat down in it, you would hold on with your hands to these bars, and that's what you were supposed to brace you from any kind of horrific thing that could happen as the truck was getting into an accident. No seatbelt.
That is a Subaru Brat.
Oh, the Subaru Brat, yes.
Brat, that was the name of it. Yeah. and dude, we had some friends with one of those, and I totally remember as a kid riding in that motherfucker.
That was it was a small version of an El Camino, like that kind of a vehicle. The 2-person or 3-person with the bench seat.
Ugly as shit. Yes.
Ugly as shit. And I wanted one because it had those cool seats in the back.
Yeah, the seats were the jam.
There was not put a 2-year-old baby back there. As long as she's sitting on the brother's lap or sister's lap, who gives a shit? It's the back of a truck. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, right.
Animals, back to the truck.
Of course. Still to this day, every once in a while, you'll see, especially down here on the surface of the sun in Texas, you see that occasionally where people will be driving around with their pet in the back of a truck, and you're like, okay, farmer.
So far, any of this you would get in serious trouble for. People would legitimately call cops these days, and cops would have a reason to probably at least pull you aside and ask you questions.
Oh, for sure.
That. And last one, and I'll just bring this up because I happened to see both a picture of what it was like back when we were growing up as kids. And then also somebody just posted a video recently to TikTok, I believe it was, that showed the difference between a mom and a dad holding an infant while going on a water slide. Did you see this one?
No.
So they got the dad that goes down. No, the mom goes. The dad goes down first, and as they're coming down the water slide, you're seeing it as the parents are coming down the water slide. He's holding the infant like on his lap. He lifts the infant up, and as he starts to go off the slide into the pool of water, he holds the child up like the Lion King, and thus the baby does not go and get submerged under the water. Mom's the next one in line. As soon as mom hits the bottom of that slide, the baby's right under the water with her. Like she didn't hold the baby up, just took it right with her, right under the water.
Yeah.
And do you nowadays?
I've done this, by the way, so I have firsthand experience. So, what were you going to ask? Go ahead.
I have been to. There's a really slow moving Ferris wheel at Comerica Park.
Okay,
where the Detroit Tigers play, and to get on that ride, you must be this tall, right? They didn't have those when we were growing up. You could take an infant with you on the log flume. With, again, no seatbelts, no real safety restraints except for mom or dad's 2 good arms or 1 good arm and the other one that was just a little on the weak side.
You know how they came up with that? You must be this tall to ride, don't you?
How?
Some motherfucker died, and then some motherfucker hired a lawyer, and that motherfucking lawyer sued the shit out of that company. Yeah. And they're like, well, we should write a rule for this.
Why are you letting
every time that ever happened,
right?
Every rule that we have, like don't put toothpaste in your eye,
right?
Or don't drink gasoline or any of that, is some idiot out there actually did it.
Yeah.
And then somebody else who, after that person died or ended up, permanently messed up, sued somebody. They're like, oh fuck, we got to put a label on this now. Everything, dude.
Because some
McDonald's coffee
took their infant on a log flume, and that kid went flying fucking away.
Died. died.
Right. Or at the very least, was like paralyzed from the chest down. Very least.
Absolutely. At a minimum.
Right. So therefore we got to put in some safety restrictions so that the infant doesn't go flying away again. Or you're going to have to be able to fit into the seatbelt.
I know. And this is where this goes. We may have talked about this. If not, we should. Why like parents should have like a fucking license, like to drive a car. We need a license, right? We need insurance and a license. To be a parent, you should have a license. You should get a license, and it should just be some common sense shit. Like, should you take your kid on the log ride when they're 18 months old? If you go, absolutely, no license for you. No license for you.
If you're even seen approaching or even considering going to the log
if you've stopped to look at the log flume ride and you're carrying an infant, no license for you.
If you're making this face,
no,
you're done. Yeah. That's it. You're over.
If your head's tilted over, there's a little question mark above your head.
Yeah,
fired. You're no more parenting for you.
And for the record, I just want to highlight this too. Somehow, my friend Neil manages to do a lot of these things still to this day, and teaches his kids. Like Neil does this thing where down the street, and he lives still on the same street he did when he was a kid. Bought his parents' house, lives in the same street as a kid. All the kids that grew up in that same area still all at least visit there if they don't live on the same street. And he'll have one of his friends who drives, I don't know, some sort of a small car, fly at him at full speed, and he'll run towards the car and then just jump in the air while the car's going underneath him. And it's amazing to watch. But at the same time, you're like, what are you teaching your kid?
Right. And there's some line in there between like, okay, experience near-death experiences, right? Have a near-death experience that makes us grow as humans.
Yes.
Right? Like face your fear, overcome your fear. And in that facing your fear and overcoming your fear, there are definitely 9 out of 10 motherfuckers who end up dead or paralyzed from the neck down.
Right.
Who have created the law that says it's probably illegal to jump over a moving car.
Right.
Yeah. But I appreciate this guy. And I admire him. I, however, was cursed or blessed, depending on how you want to look at it, with common sense and
fear, and a healthy fear.
Right. Yeah. And jumping over a car and maybe orphaning my children it occurs to me before I actually think, hey, it'd be a good idea. I'm going to go jump over a car.
Right. And so let alone go, hey, when we were kids, it was perfectly acceptable. Our parents let us ride our BMX bikes while we were towing our little sister on a skateboard we made of a 2x4 and old roller skates. It was barely nailed together. And that was fine. So
I have scars to prove it.
What's preventing us from doing that now by tying it to the back of your Mustang and then seeing where you can take me around the neighborhood? Where's the problem now?
Seemed like a good idea at that time. Famous last words.
Right. Hold my beer. Yeah. All right. Those are just some of the things, in case you're wondering. There's
a whole huge list that I'm sure you can just Google it. And
your parents did it. We lived through it. And I guess we should consider ourselves lucky, Chad. We lived through it. But the reality,
Darwinism hard at work right there, folks.
The reality is today, oh boy, you'd either A, be in so much goddamn trouble, or B, be the biggest social media star because you've done that.
Either one, folks.
Either one. And speaking of social media stars,
that's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
We'll come back. We'll go to the tape, and we'll also figure out.
I know who that is.
You do. You're sure? Okay. Don't say it yet. Don't say it now.
Okay.
We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit here as we go to the tape on the Dad's Home podcast.
He's a dick, folks.
It's the Onion Radio News. An okay-looking guy meets a kind of pretty girl. This is Doyle Redland reporting. Tulsa, Oklahoma resident Ron Stelton is thrilled to be dating kind of pretty girl Jill Cook. The okay-looking computer programmer made the announcement earlier today.
Who would have thought that a guy like me, somebody balding a bit on top, but in pretty good shape for a short guy, at least, but would ever be going out with someone like Tina, a thin but kind of shapeless brunette with a nice smile and a decent complexion?
Close friends of Ron and Tina say that together they make an couple. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is a You Called Me phone prank by Neil Flynn. Stoopid. How can I help you?
Hi, good morning. How I said I can get Amazon. How do I do that? I want it.
Like you want to renew your Amazon Prime, sir?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how, but I'd like to do it. Can you help me?
Yeah, of course I will help you, sir. So do
Thank you. Thank you.
your computer.
Thank you. Thank
In
you.
front of your computer.
Yes, I want to say thank you for helping me.
Okay, I will, but just go ahead and switch on your computer, okay, first of all.
Okay, I got it on, partner.
Your computer is on?
Yeah, I got it already on. I'm up early.
Oh, you're too fast. Okay, no problem. So, which computer you are using? Is that Windows or is that Mac?
I got Windows.
You got Windows, right?
Windows, yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, do you have Google Chrome?
Yeah, my grandson put it on for me yesterday. I got it.
Okay, just open the Google Chrome.
Okay, hold on. www.GOOG. How do you spell Google again?
The number you have dialed. Google. Google.
GOOGLE. Wait,
Yes.
how many O's? It's not working.
It's not working? Then put those O's in your mother ass.
Is that where you'd like to go?
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.
Back to the Dad's Home podcast. But first, more dad jokes.
My kids find me annoying. All children find their parents annoying, which is kind of ironic given children essentially ruin their parents' lives. Parents give their children their time, their energy, and their money, and we repay our parents with resentment. You ever see an adult get a phone call from one of their parents? You'd think it was a debt collector. It's my mom. Yeah, I know you took care of me for a quarter of a century, but now's not a good time. You know, it wasn't a good time giving up my dreams. So you could be a general disappointment.
Well, that is Jim Gaffigan telling it like it is.
As always.
I will say this. The worst parent bracket continues. We fell behind in the time that we've had some pretty busy stuff go on for us, Chad, here the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, frankly. And we fell behind on the worst parent tournament and the NCAA style bracketing that we've got going on. We got more parents to get to try to figure out who's going to move into the championship round and then who will eventually be crowned the worst parent of 2022. And as I realize this, we're halfway through July right now. We're the rest of the year's moving ahead. We got to get up. We got to catch up to this, right, Chad?
Yeah, I know. By the time we finish this bracket, it might come around and it's gonna be, mad March Madness again. So
very well.
We're gonna hustle, folks.
Possible. All right. In the last batch here's the thing too. I tried to put up a Twitter poll.
Yeah. How did that go?
Not well. You get they give you 25 characters to explain who. So if the question was, which one of these parents should move forward in the worst parent bracket 2022, you get 25 characters to explain who that parent is, which for you and I and people who listen to the show, I could probably put in like a shorthand answer and that's fine.
Sure.
For anybody else, like who the fuck is this they're talking about and why should I be voting for them? So I gave up after trying 16 different ways to put 25 characters together that would get the point across. I'm like, fuck this. And there's no place for me to put like an image of one person and then the image of the other person. Like there's got to be a better way. Yeah, there's got to be a better way to go about this. So as I recall, The last two that we had were in one of the cases, it was the parent who left the kids in the car while they went into the store to go shopping.
Yep.
And also left the kid in the car, the toddler in the car, with the gun that was in the car as well. Toddler grabs the gun, kills a sibling. It was that one taking on the mom who got so fucking drunk at a party that her daughter and her daughter's friends were at, teenage daughter and daughter's friends were at. She started calling out and yelling and insulting every kid at that party. And even referring to them in some very, very bad terms, and then eventually throwing up in a laundry basket at the house.
That's right. You're correct. Those are the two that were fighting for this for that particular bracket position.
And in normal situations, I would say a death automatically moves you forward. But I think I'm gonna buck that trend here, Chad, and I'm gonna say executive decision here. From my standpoint, it's the woman who called her daughter's friends names and used horrible words and then vomited in the laundry basket that should be moving on.
Yes, I agree. And I think, both of us, since we're in agreement that Basket Barfer is the one who makes the final four. So.
Which, again, that fits into 25 characters. That absolutely does.
Basket Barfer, totally.
Problem is, nobody would understand that if we couldn't break that down for them.
If you put that against Kid Car Gun Dead, right. Between those two, but I need some more context.
Is that a name of a parent or a rap star? What are you talking about?
Kid Car Gun Dead sounds like a rapper.
It does, totally does. So, all right. The basket barfing mom moves forward. I just thought we need to have a little bit more explanation to it than that. Do you have any idea who's going to be moving in our next bracket here to go forward?
So that's the 3 of the 4 brackets we had. The last bracket we have to decide is Lizard Killer, and we'll go into detail there. And against Shoot the Cops, Son.
Oh God.
Remember Shoot the Cops, Son?
Yes, this was one where there was a gun in the car, and the father had it back with the kid, and the cops had come to investigate. I think there was something that was going on, and
he went through the McDonald's drive-through and was pissed off about what he got in McDonald's drive-through.
He wasn't happy.
He wasn't happy. And so he's of course getting, yelling at the McDonald's folks. McDonald's calls the cops. Cops come out, pull him out of the car, and are talking to him and are going to arrest him for his behavior. And he's like, son, get the gun in the car and shoot the cops.
Yeah. Hey, toddler in your car seat, right where the gun is next to you, grab that gun and shoot the cop. Telling him to shoot the cops.
Yeah, he was the winner of episode 201, which was our first episode of doing the worst parent of the year.
Yeah.
And then Lizard Killer. It was episode 207. And this was the guy who believed that his wife and his kids were aliens, lizards.
That's right. They were lizard aliens. Yes.
From a different planet. And they had come down and were taking over the earth. And so he was saving all of us. He was saving humanity from the lizard people.
Who happened to be his wife and children.
Yeah, right. He also was the owner and proprietor of a Christian surfing school.
Oh yeah, man.
Right. Yeah, you remember him?
Yeah.
So,
all right.
So pick between those two, folks.
All right, those are your two. That one of those two will be moving on to our final 4, and then eventually we'll get to the point where we've got our finals for the tournament.
If we want to speed things up, obviously you and I can just vote on this ourselves here. Which one we think, and then we're down to our final 4, so we could put the final 4 against each other next week.
We could certainly do that. We might be able to do that, right? And then maybe post. I can post an image certainly to Twitter. I like a PDF or something that people can download and then make their decisions as to who they think needs to go. That's probably not a bad idea. Now, if I remember correct, Lizard King, dude, like was he like a QAnon guy or some shit like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he believed in some bullshit like QAnon, kooky, some British guy who was like
so hard. This is maybe one of the hardest brackets because
I don't think so. I'm gonna go straight out and say no. Lizard Killer.
I think you're right. And to me, again, when you have the death, it always feels like that's a solid moving on to the next round.
It is, but especially like there's so many elements to that I believe are great. Like you're really that bad of a father that you like lose your mind and kill your own kids? Like, what the fuck kind of parent were you to begin with?
Or
for
argument's sake, or you're the father who's being investigated by police saying, shoot the cops, son, shoot the cops. Now, to be fair, the kid did not shoot the cops. It could have been difficulty for a toddler to use a firearm. I don't know. But there never was a shooting that occurred from it.
Yeah.
So, I guess, I mean, the worst parent has to be the one that kills his family.
Yeah, it's true. The cop's son feels a little bit like shut the fuck up, kid, where it's just like you have failed as a parent, but your egregious behavior is not egregious enough to put you into the Final Four.
Certainly not. Again, you don't have to be better than everybody. You just have to be better than your immediate competition. And right now, your competition is his
lizard killer,
his family, because he thought they were lizard aliens. All right, I'm with you. You got me on this one, Chad. I can't. Right. I have to agree with you on this. This is definitely going to the lizard killer.
Good. All right, so folks, our Final Four then right now is Porn Mom.
Yes, the OnlyFans mom.
Right, versus Basketball Barfer.
Okay.
Then we have Meth Mom. Meth Mom, if you'll remember, folks, episode 204 is the one who gave her kid meth to relax.
Versus he was anxious.
Meth, of course. Versus Lizard Killer.
So, hold on. Just talking out loud here, spitballing with you. For me, that comes down to OnlyFans mom versus Lizard Killer in the finals. That's how I see it.
All right. Well, then I mean, what you're doing then is you're playing the games like on extra super speed here, which is fine with me. I think
in my interpretation now, on those four, if I had to place odds on which of those four make it to the finals to compete for the world's worst parent 2022, it's OnlyFans mom who was too busy shooting porn to be concerned about her child in the pool who later drowned in the pool at age 2, taking on the guy who killed his family, his kids, and his wife because he thought they were lizard aliens. To me, that is the most intense finals that you would have for the worst parent of 2022 that I could imagine.
Agreed. Yes, absolutely agreed.
So, should we move them to the finals? I can't right now. I can't tell you who's going to win that.
No, and you're right. Like, I think that's some serious debate. I think what we need to do actually is bring some guests in, to the show, and we will play them Porn Mom and Lizard Killer stories.
Okay, I got you.
And then we can have a debate and then a vote. So I think we grab a couple guests, and have them on next time.
Okay.
And throw down with the debate. Basically, kind of debate this out like we were in high school.
Right. No, I think that's a good plan. I like that. I don't know of any lawyers that I could get to jump in and take one side or the other. I think there are some people that we could certainly talk to and see if
I've got a few guys. I've got a few guys in mind. Let's we'll in our production meetings we'll talk about how we're going to do this, and then we'll push it and promote it, and we'll see if we can get this done next week.
The only caveat I have is we'd have to have a production meeting. So,
we do. We absolutely do
first, and then we can probably move forward from there.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. So,
all right. So, Porn Mom versus Lizard Killer. Right. We're going to have an open table, round table debate live.
And your vote will count
on the air. Yeah.
Your vote will count even more so than anybody getting elected in November. Maybe not that far, but your vote will count for sure. Coming up here. All right, so we've heard.
Sorry, it's getting dark here too. It's like I'm in witness protection.
That's okay. That's all right. Yeah. No, that's okay. I understand. You've got like some kind of peep show going on.
That's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
Oh my God, this guy, what an asshole.
Well, let's find out where all that comes from and make our way through some videotape action here as well today as we go to the tape of the Dad's Home podcast.
We bring the absurd to your ear holes. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. To the tape.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Obviously, the problem with that tape is wrong tape loaded in there.
We'll do it live.
We apologize. We don't have that clip from the radio station.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
But tape don't lie.
It most certainly does not. And in case you missed the voice here,
That's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
that is one Thomas Bocephus Brady.
I had no idea that was his middle name.
Yeah, I didn't either. I just made
glad to learn that. No, it is fucking now. I mean,
Bocephus, it's technically that's the shortened version of it. It is Thomas Bocephus T-Bone Brady. That is his name.
He does not deserve a nickname as cool as T-Bone. Just saying.
Yet, I bet you there's at least one person on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who refers to Tom Brady as T-Bone. I guarantee it's
sure
there.
there is.
All right. Tom Brady recently took to a podcast to discuss how difficult it is to be a parent, Chad. How difficult it is. How the hardest thing about being a parent to Tom Brady is his wealth. It's such a sad story.
Tom,
it's all the money.
Let me get my tiny violin out for you, motherfucker.
Let's listen to him break it down. He's going to pitch us here on why that kind of wealth is such a difficult and challenging thing as a parent.
Let's see if he sells me.
I doubt he'll do it, but let's give it a shot. Tom, the floor is yours.
In rural, Brazil, the furthest state south, Rio Grande do Sul, very small kind of farming town, very simple girl. There were 2 bedrooms in their house, one for their parents and one for her and her 5 sisters. And I grew up in I would say a middle-class family in California. My dad worked his ass off for our family. My mom stayed at home, took care of us kids. And I saw my mom work every day to make food for us at night and, wash our clothes. And, they supported us by coming to all our games. And, it was amazing, and then I look at my life with my family and it's so fast. I mean, it's just, we have people that clean for us. We have people that make our food. We have people that drive us to the airport if we need that. We get off a plane and there's people waiting there for us and we get ushered in. And it's just, that's my kid's reality, which is the hard part to say, guys, this is not the way reality really is.
Except it kind of is for Tom.
Well, it is for him.
Yeah.
It is definitely for him. Now, he obviously chooses all that shit because he can, because, he's Tom Brady and he makes bank. He's still an asshole. Doesn't make he's not an asshole.
Right.
And, I think most people in the NFL hate that guy, especially when he's come and beat the shit out of your team.
Right. Everybody has hated him for that. But can I say this?
Absolutely.
Then give up the money.
Well, I give it the money, but also then live your life like a normal person. Try it.
Right.
Move to Brazil, live in a 2-bedroom house, put your kids in one. You and your fucking supermodel wife live in the other.
Hey, you don't have to have
cook your own food.
You don't have to have you don't have to have your own chef. You don't have to have a personal chef or a personal cleaner. You don't have to have somebody waiting. How about if your kids actually had to walk off a plane and find luggage on their own? What if they had to fly commercial? How about that, God. Tom Brady?
Yeah.
That's a starting point right there. And then I know, look, you've got an island or something with like a fucking castle built on it because you're Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. So good for you. And look, you clearly deserve the money that you've gotten. But if your wealth is such a concern for you and your kids, how about on that same, 150-acre island with your massive castle on it? How about off to the side someplace, you build a, frugal $300,000 home? And 2 or 3 days a week, you and the family can live like there is no personal cleaner or there is no personal chef. Let Giselle make mac and cheese and have the kids fucking knock it all on the floor. And then you got to she's got to walk around with a vacuum afterwards and nobody wants to do the dishes.
Or your dog eats the mac and cheese, then barfs it up on the carpet in the living room.
Then when you're done with those 2 or 3 days, you can take the helicopter right back to the castle. You're good. You're fine. You go back in your life.
Look, Tom's not wrong that that's not reality.
Right.
Talking in that moment. And at least he's sentient enough to realize that
Which
he
is
lives
a shock
in this
for all
fucking
of the,
guy. It really kind of is. I mean, as many times he's been hit in the head.
You would think that there'd be some serious concussion work going on there.
Yeah.
But it's his reality. That's what he's done. He's made that choice. He and Giselle made that choice for their kids. So that is their reality at this point. I don't want to. It's a hard. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
The problem is he can afford that shit. I don't think he realizes what the 99% really go through every day. He may, because he grew up in this middle class family, et cetera.
Right.
But he is out of touch with reality. He is. And I think he realizes he's out of touch with reality, and he can do something about it. Of all the people on the planet that could actually change something for themselves, it would be that being at that level from a financial standpoint, being able to say, you know what, I'm rejecting this, right? That comes with it.
And I'll say this. I mean, look, I want to help as much as I can.
Okay, good for you. I like this, Bauer. Look at you.
You and I here at the Dad's Home Podcast will, as a favor to Tom Brady, we'll take his money. He wants to give it to him.
Sure.
We will take it. We will.
You know what? I'm going to do you. I'm going to. Yeah, I'll do you one better, Bauer. I will give you 60% of the money, and I will take 40% of the money.
Wow, that's a fucking ton of money for you.
I know. That is,
each got 10% of that money would be like, that's awesome.
Great. We're like done retiring.
But don't for a minute. Don't think of this as we just want his wealth. We want what's best for his children.
Yes, we do. And that's why we're doing this.
We want his children's wealth.
Yes,
because that's going to be so much more. Talk about compounded interest. Never mind. All right, hold on. Let's move on, shall we?
I'm sorry. Now we're getting into the CFO level kind of calculations here. I can't do it. I can't do it.
That's an awful lot of money, and I don't have the degree to make that happen here. But what I do have a degree on, first, this is a silent clip, so if you're listening on the podcast, you're really not going to get this portion of it. So Chad and I are going to have to play by play and do our best Joe Buck and Troy Aikman combo on this particular one. But
ladies and gentlemen, this is Hoover, and that's Bauer, and we're here to walk you through this tape.
When you see this footage, Chad, let's be clear. It reminds me very much of my girls on their iPads or phones when I'm trying to have a conversation with them, which is they are not remotely paying attention to anything that I'm saying. So imagine that now as you're watching this woman attempt to feed her baby. But look at the silent footage of her at a table with a bunch of kids in the background. She's got the ball. Head, but just now realized as we're watching this for a second time through that the entire time the bottle looked like it was the baby's temple, like nowhere near the mouth.
Yeah,
just
might even be in the ear hole. We're not even sure.
Very well. I mean, we don't see any of this leaking out. Hold on, let's go back here real quick. Let's see her. Is there leaking milk coming out of the baby's ear?
There's definitely a little, like, there's some stuff there on the shoulder.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of light there, so it's a little hard to tell.
Somebody next to them was, did you see that?
Oh, my bad.
So funny. I was totally feeding the baby's ear. That is hilarious.
I bet if you Google feeding the baby's ear, this video comes up. I guarantee you, folks. So you don't really need the Bauer and the Hoover
to break it down for you. I think
really you just need Google.
Google. That's all you need. All right,
but it is that's classic.
Yeah, there is a new movie out this weekend that I will not see, but my wife has read the book called Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't know the first thing about crawdads singing. I don't know the first thing. I don't know if they can sing. I don't know if they have good voices. I don't know if they sound like
only when you put them in a pot of boiling water do they sing.
And that's more of a scream, I imagine, but you're probably pretty close. Maybe
singing, screaming.
This we like to call Where the Crawdads Scream. Why? Because the parents let this boy try to do something on his own, which in this case is let the crawdad bite his finger.
God, this thing. Ow! 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 Dad, let it.
That reminds me of when I was a kid in the 80s.
Yeah.
My parents were like, hey, get close to the animals.
Right. Well, hold on, because let's do that. Maybe even one better. That's bad.
All right, go. There's one.
This is one that you've probably seen on social media of a parent. Remember we talked about with the bison in the parks here in the United States. Get your kid close to bison. How about getting your kid close to a seal? fact that you decide you want to get your kid to mount the seal. And the seal's not happy with it. To set this up,
the fuck
is a picture of a seal in quite literally in the middle of an intersection, someplace. I don't even think it's in the United States, but there's a massive seal.
Yeah.
The parents see the seal on the street corner, as you would as you're going through your daily routine, and you're like, hey, what if we got our kid to sit on the seal and take a picture? That'd be great. How often did we have that opportunity in life? Never. It never happens. Hold on, let me get the camera. And so you send your daughter over to sit on the back of a seal that's sitting there on the sidewalk. The seal is about 3 times the size of your daughter. And the seal is the minute your child sits down on the seal's not happy about that.
No.
The seal tries to bite at her and then just throws her off like a bucking bronco.
Yeah.
And that's
you know what this is? This is Australian. This has got to be Australian. I mean, Sarah, go sit on the back of that seal.
Oi!
Although it does sound like you're speaking a foreign language of some kind.
It does. I was thinking like Brazilian or something like that, but I don't know for sure.
My question is how the fuck did this seal get on the sidewalk? Like, was it going to work? Was it, get a coffee?
There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions on how that seal got there, how the seal is so relatively tame when the child's sneaking up behind it to go mount it.
Like, is this a trained seal? Is this like a escape zoo seal? Is it a lot, like a wild seal? Like all of the questions.
Last one we've got for you here in video form is, look, if you're going to make your kid turn into a predator, start it young.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say.
Sure.
And this one, a lot of parents are thinking, "Oh, this is a cute little video." I beg to differ. Let's watch as this parents at a bar have their kid with them at the bar, and does a shot with the bartender. Now, the bartender made a special non-alcoholic shot for the kid while she had her own alcoholic shot. Did them there at the bar. The boy starts to walk away. She's like, hey, come here. He goes running back over, give her a kiss on the cheek, and boy, does he plant one on her. On the left. And the parents cheer. Once again, he's at the bar when the video starts, taking a shot made by the bartender. She's making one for herself. It's a little bit stronger. They do the shot together, as you on occasion see happen.
As you do.
Yeah. Shot together. He's thrilled. Parents are cheering and everything. He was walking away. Hold on a second. Go back. Goes back. Give me a kiss on the cheek, and he plants her right on her mouth. And then walks away in typical bro fashion, cheering at his accomplishment there at the bar, snagging a kiss on the mouth of the bartender.
There is something innocently cute about this. I gotta admit, right? Like, little kid, bartender playing along with the kid. Like, all right, it's very cute. And even his little, I'm sneaking a kiss from you.
Sure.
Very innocent, very fun.
Sure.
To your point about being a predator, though, it's like, all right, boundaries, folks, boundaries. Sure.
Let's have
live
those.
in a world.
Hey, you're not 21, right, kid? Like, you probably shouldn't even be pretending to be drinking shots.
Right. At
a bar with a bartender.
Yeah. Nothing says future frat boy like, getting a shot and then kissing the bartender.
Boy. That's just the starting point. Forget the part about future date rapist or future purchaser of horse tranquilizers. Like, there's nothing about that. You're just like, I guess there's a little innocent kind of, if she had given him a kiss on the cheek or right.
she clearly is like, here, come give me a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, fuck that. I'm going straight for the lips.
By the way, if you or I had tried that with a bartender, we'd be thrown the fuck out of the bar. There's no way.
Yeah. I might have been slapped.
Right.
I might have been well, one or two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to get slapped and thrown out, or I'm going to get a phone number, which
good point.
This guy,
and it really is a coin toss.
It's a 50-50. It
really is. Not for him. The kid gets cheered on by his parents.
Well, because it's cute. Predators are cute.
It's cute until it's not. It's cute until he expects it every time he goes to a bar from this point forward. And then when he doesn't get it, I got a friend. Hold on. I got a friend who has some horse tranquilizer. We'll take care of this all in about 30 minutes. And that's bad news. All right.
Fuck you, Tyler.
Hunter, you're 7 and you're an asshole already. That's it for us. We'll catch up with you guys next week here at the Dad's Home Podcast. So for Hoover,
see you next week.
Dad, and myself, see ya.
Bye. I keep on coming on.